The fourth and final question that I'm going to use to prepare you for tomorrow's quiz. So now we're looking at a division problem. And this is where some of you found it a little bit tricky. This one's not too crazy, so I think you should be okay with it. What we look at first is what's outside the radical, what's inside the radical. Let's try to simplify each part. So outside the radical, I have 3x squared divided by 2x. Inside the radical, I have 12 divided by 18. So I'm going to write my outside fraction right here to work on, and we'll put the inside fraction right here, and we'll work on it after we finish simplifying the outside parts. So let's simplify our outsides first. 3x squared divided by 2, that just say 2x. So 3 over 2 can't really be simplified, right? 3 halves, 1 1/2. We want to keep it as a fraction. It doesn't help us to simplify that. But x squared over x can be simplified. And what I explained to you is that you should expand that. So make the x squared x times x, because then we could just see how many x's cancel out. Well, I have one x on top, one x on bottom. X divided by x is 1. That canceled out. So what am I left with? Well, I still have 3 times x on the top. That's 3x. And on the bottom, all I have is 2. So I'm going to go ahead and rewrite this part, the outside part, as 3x over 2. That's what I got when I simplified it. Then I want to simplify the stuff that was inside the radical. 12 over 18. So when I'm trying to figure out how to simplify it, I'm trying to think of a common factor between 12 and 18. So I could divide the top and the bottom by the same number and get this fraction simplified. I see they're both divisible by 2, right? I could do 12 divided by 2 is 6, 18 divided by 2 is 9. However, there might be something bigger that both of them are divisible by, and I want to choose the biggest number I could so that I don't end up having to simplify a second time afterwards. So I see that 12 and 18 are also divisible by 6. They both have a factor of 6. So I do 12 divided by 6 and 18 divided by 6. I'll get this in simplest form. 12 divided by 6 is 2. 18 divided by 6 is 3. Now remember that this is the stuff that was inside the radical. So I'm going to bring it over here with the radical, but we said we could split that back up into 2. Root 2 over root 3. And now we check. Are there any perfect squares inside? Is root 2 a perfect square? Is root 3 a perfect square? Nope, they're not. So we're not going to do any taking the square roots. We're just going to move on to multiplying. Okay, we're going to move on to multiplying. And when we multiply 3x times root 2, we can't multiply the 3 and the 2 because one's in the radical, one's out of the radical. So we're just going to write 3x root 2. That's it. And then on the bottom, 2 times root 3 again. Can't multiply 2 times 3 and get 6 because one's outside the radical, one's inside the radical. They mean two different things. So it's just 2 root 3. Okay, and now we have one last step, because even though everything's like simplified and there's no common factors with 3 and 2, this is not in our perfect simple form because we don't like to have an irrational number, square root, in the bottom of our fraction. So now we need to do what we call rationalize it, okay? And if you don't remember what it means to rationalize, you could look back at my previous video where I spoke about rationalizing the denominator. But now let's do it with this one. So we have 3x root 2 divided by 2 root 3. And we said in order to get that root 3 to 3, we have to multiply it by itself. So we're going to multiply by root 3 on the top and on the bottom, because whatever we do on the top of the fraction, we do in the bottom, right? The same way when we simplify fractions, we're able to divide by the same number. We could also multiply top and bottom by the same number. So now we're multiplying across 3x root 2 times root 3. Outsides, 3x. Insides, that's 2 times 3. You see 2 and 3 are both inside the radical, so this is when we multiply them by each other. 2 times 3, and we get 6. On the bottom, we have 2 outside the radical, and then we have root 3 times root 3, and we said that root 3 times root 3 is going to be 3 itself. Okay. So now we're just going to go and do a drop more simplifying here, okay? If we want to think about simplifying this, we could write 3x root 6 over 6, but you'll notice that you could divide the top and the bottom by 3, right? 3 divided by 3 is 1, so we have 1 times x root 6, and 6 divided by 3 is 2. We could have also seen it right away. We have a 3 on top, 3 on the bottom. 3 divided by 3 is 1. So we have x times, that just say root 6 inside the radical. We have x times root 6 divided by 2. And that is our final answer. So what did we do? We simplified the outsides. That was the red. Simplified the stuff inside the radical. That was the blue. We rewrote our new fractions right down here after the simplified fraction, and then we multiplied across. Then when we had that answer, we had to rationalize it. Rationalizing it means that we multiply by whatever radical is on the bottom of our fraction. We multiply by that same radical, top and bottom of the fraction. Then after we did that, we simplified one last time, divided top and bottom by 3, and we ended up with x times root 6 divided by 2. If you like these videos, please subscribe to my channel. Please like my video. And if you are my student and you need help, please email me because I don't look at my YouTube comments very often. So send me an email directly and let me know if you have any questions or want any help with this before you take a quiz tomorrow. Have a great night.